We have $75 coming in from Dag19 saying, love GDQ and all that you do. Let's Falcon punch cancer out of existence. All right, guys, just got word that we are ready for Ninja 5-0 by Just Defend. Let's give him a hand.
Hey, thank you, everyone. My name is Just Defend. I will be playing Ninja 5-0, and I will have Blechy on commentary. He is the Ninja 5-0 veteran. We're just going to go right into it. I'm going to do normal mode. You don't want to do hard mode because it just takes longer. Normal mode's way more fun. So I will count it down for you. It's going to be 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, this game is so cool. It's all about the grappling hook. You can see kind of grappled there. We'll get into why he's doing it there. But it's mostly used just for that grappling any ceilings like that. Now, the goal of every level is to find the red key. Find the red key, rescue all hostages, and exit the door. Often, there's going to be kind of a network of other keys that you need to use to find everything you need to and rescue those hostages. But for that stage in particular, it was just find the red key, leave, because there were no hostages. We're going to start seeing hostages now. You can see the hostage count in the lower right there. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on this game. You can see in the upper left there, his orange bar is his health, and the green bar beneath that is his special meter. As you attack enemies, that special meter fills up. When when it's not full, you can use it at any time, and it just functions as invincibility. And then otherwise, if it fills up all the way, you can use it in the same way you did, but instead of invincibility, it actually kills all the enemies on the screen, which is sometimes useful because if the room you're in has hostages, and then but it's kind of like a maze of tunnels and stuff like that, you can use your fully charged special, clear the entire screen off, and it just rescues the hostages without you needing to actually reach them. And we're actually going to be seeing that here in a moment. So you can actually see that Just Defend has been powering up. All right, here it is. So that's the fully charged special. There was a hostage right above. Rather than needing to navigate all the different kind of like slide through everything, he was able to just use a special, get the hostage, and immediately leave. So in the lower left of the screen, you can see it says level 2. That's his current power level. You start at level 1 in each set of stages. And then you can go up to power level 3 by collecting orange lightning bolts that either enemies drop or that are in the kind of chests that you find throughout the stage. Now, getting increased power level is extremely good because, for one thing, it does more damage. For another thing, it's a lot easier to control, and it's also it's just kind of better all around. So right now, he's at power level 2. When you're at power level 1, you just can throw out 3 shurikens. When you're at power level 2, you throw out 3 fireballs for more damage. And when you're at power level 3, then you shoot out 1 energy beam for a ton of damage. Unfortunately, so going into the bosses, you want to typically be level 3. He did take an unfortunate hit earlier on, but it's not really a huge deal for this particular boss. So we're going to see the first boss here. You can there are a couple different strats you can do. You can use your jumping sword attack, or you can just use fireballs. Let's see how this goes. You can see he used his invincibility there, and then is just spamming fireballs for 6 damage each round to kill the boss very quickly. Nice job.
Oops, sorry.
So going into the second set of stages, so there are 5 worlds effectively. Going into the second world, it is the harbor. It really kind of cranks the difficulty notch up a lot because there are going to be all these cycles of various things going on between kind of these flame cycles, the spiky platform cycles, and so on. So you can see, for example, there was an orange power-up. Those are the flame cycles we're going to need to be very careful about throughout this entire stage, as well as conveyor belts. We have new ninjas and then just tons of stuff going on. Whew, that was close. So you can see that he's now power level 3. He wants to preserve that for as long as possible because it just is so much damage, it goes through enemies, and it's just super, super useful. As you are rescuing these hostages, so he's been rescuing these hostages throughout. Like that guy, that one there, it was actually kind of an enemy that was holding the hostage. You need to kill the enemy, and then it rescues the hostage. What you can also do, I mean, as an option, I'm not condoning this in any way, but you can actually kind of kill the hostage accidentally. It makes you take damage. It doesn't lower your power level like taking damage usually does, but it does make you take damage, but it still counts as kind of saving the hostage. So you can do that. Actually, does it lower your power level if you kill a hostage?
It does not.
It does not. Okay, got it. So I just want to go over the various movement options that are in this game because there's just so much of this game is kind of routing your movement. So you can just walk or jump normally. The fastest way though is to, if you need to traverse a long horizontal section, then it is just to kind of do long grapples, as long as kind of long distance grapples as you can. The next best option is sliding. You can see he's sliding there. While he's sliding, he has this room is hard. Let's see if he can make the flame cycle. Oh, that was so close. Really nice job there. That was solid. So the next best option is sliding. Unfortunately, sliding has kind of a slowdown period at the end of the slide, so it's not always shorter slides aren't a good option, but longer slides sometimes can be. And then lastly, walking and running is actually the slowest option. So you're usually moving in other ways. Short slides are very slow, so you rarely want to do that. We have the red key in the lower left there. We have all the hostages in the lower right there, so we're able to exit 2-2 and move on to 2-3, which is actually my favorite stage. So it's kind of divided into 4 different rooms in each one of the corners of the level, and each one has something very unique and cool about it. This one is just kind of cycle-based. You want to make sure to get that flame cycle, and then he's going to get that blue key, which allows him to continue through the level. He's also going to collect this other chest there, which fills up his power meter so that he can use his full power attack once again to kind of rescue those inconvenient hostages. The next room we have coming up here is actually my favorite room of the game. I already talked about cycles a little bit. It depends how quickly you go, but depending on just how quickly you do this, you can make a so close, so close. If he had made that shot, then he can actually, that's a hard hit.
Yeah.
He can actually kind of leave that room within one cycle of the platform. That's one of the hardest rooms. It's one of my favorites. This one is where he's going to use that special, just clear that hostage in the lower left in addition to the lower right. And then there is a quick little yellow key up here.
Yeah, we're actually going backwards through this section.
Yeah. And then, so coming up next, it's going to be another cool room. I think it's the one with a couple purple ninja, is that? Yeah, okay. So a blue ninja, just kind of holding the last key that he needs. You can see in the lower right, he's done all the hostages. Health is an issue in this game. You can see in the upper left, he's a little bit low on health, but it should be doable.
Yeah, thankfully, after every stage, it'll refill your health a little bit, so
yeah.
I'll be in good shape. Sadly, I do not have the level 3 weapon, so the boss fight's going to take a little bit longer.
How do you think you'll approach it?
And I'm just going to use the sword.
Got it. So there are 2 kind of phases to this boss. The first phase is he's up on his giant frog, naturally, as any ninja is. And JD needs to knock him off with a few sword attacks. Then following that, the boss kind of jumps around. If JD had a higher power level, then he would be able to just kind of hit the boss with attacks. But a sword attack does more damage at his current power level, and so he just kind of spams those sword attacks, and the boss kind of bounces between his frog and being off it. So another nice fight right there.
Yeah, I had to make the best of what I had there.
If you have power level 2 or 3, then it helps a lot. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Here we are in the airport. This is another kind of very enclosed level. It's a very kind of newer field. There are a lot more spikes and tons of hostages to save. So we'll just see how it goes. There are a lot of vertical sections in this level as well. But yeah, I love that screen, how you just kind of have to still be attached to your grapple, and then while you're still attached, just kind of throw out a few shurikens in order to save that hostage. Because again, you don't need to like reach the hostage or touch the hostage in any way. You just need to kill the enemy or kill the hostage that is holding it. But yeah, World 3 kind of has a bunch of stuff going on. It's a bunch of different, it's a bunch of kind of different level designs as well. 3-1 and 3-2 are fairly similar, and then 3-3 is an airport, is a kind of like the airport level, like as you're reaching the gate. So it's a little different.
Yeah, these are some of the longest stages, so making any sort of mistakes are pretty costly.
For sure. Fortunately, there are quite a few power-up backups. A big thing, so that the power-up drops are not random at all. They're, like I said, they're all dropped by very specific enemies and are in specific chests. There's actually very little luck to this game. It's pretty cool. There are some enemies with some variation to them, like the frogs we saw in World 2. But otherwise, it's really very, very little luck. The bosses have some luck as well. The World 2 boss we saw has luck. The World 3 boss we're coming up on has a bit of luck, and the World 5 boss has luck. But other than that, there's very little. And actually, we route World 2 so that we have to deal with the frogs as little as possible. Each one of those kind of sparks down there does damage, but you can slide through them if they're going on at the wrong time. Then you can slide through them to ignore damage. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, once your slide stops, you are once again vulnerable. I don't think that's too big of a deal, that hit. I think there's enough backups that should be okay. World 3 is fairly friendly as far as backups go, although there are fewer in 3-3, which is coming up next. So still a few hostages to go, but they're, I think, all in one room. Yeah, they're all in one room here. And then actually there's this power-up on that right ninja there. He has that power-up, and then there's also an option for this one if he needs it.
I actually kind of just forgot that I needed it. Yeah, having level 3 by the end of this is pretty big time save when you go into the final stage.
Definitely. You can kind of see here, he's going to need to do some tight grapples. It's a tough decision because the further down you are, the faster the grapples are. However, you also risk hitting those spikes, so it can be pretty risky. Here's 3-3. It's that kind of like actual airport level gateway, I guess. And that's right, it's an airplane itself. So as you well know, airplanes are pretty flat and one-tiered. So it's just kind of navigating through those. And actually, as we're watching him rescue all the hostages in this airport, now's a great time for donations if we have any to read off.
Oh, we have quite a few to read off, actually. We have, starting off with $10 from JT Scout saying, love these older games no matter the runtime. Each one gets me thinking to speedrun myself. Ninja Five-0 is one of those games. We have an anonymous $25 donation saying Ninja Five-0 is the best GBA game nobody played, but they should. Thanks for giving it the time it deserves and kicking cancer's butt at the same time. And $10 from Koro saying, Ninja Five-0, how about Surf Ninjas? Surf's up. Time to save the world.
Thank you so much. So we're coming up on the World 3 boss. This World 3 boss is pretty challenging. There is, I think, there is a little bit of luck to it. So the main issue with the World 3 boss is that there's this hostage in the lower right who actually has his own health bar, who you if you kill him, the fight is over and you just immediately die. So you need to be very careful with your shots. And what usually happens is that the boss in his fire dragon form starts to kind of, you wait for him on the left side and just kind of do your air jumping slash attacks as much as possible. So you can see the hostage there. The hostage's HP is the lower bar in the upper right. So like he has very little health. One beam kills him. So let's see how this goes. So now JD uses his invulnerability, and then hopefully the boss stays on the left side as much as possible. He's not really being that friendly, but nice fight.
When you have the invincibility,
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. So JD was able to use his invincibility and stay on the left side and just wait and start spamming those kind of jump sword attacks. The caves, I think, are the scariest part, at least for me, especially in the last, in 4-3, which we'll get to. This first section is a very vertical kind of main part, and then this has a skip to it. There's a specific setup here. Oh, very nice. You got it first try. That's very difficult. So the deal is that normally you need to kind of go through this room counterclockwise and go all the way around and rescue that hostage in the cage door. But with very precise jump and grapple combo, you can kind of go up that very narrow corridor we saw. And we're actually going to see an easier version of that coming up later. So this one is a pretty short level, so we can kind of watch this finish up here. But is this the one here? Okay, yeah. So the good thing about World 4 is that you don't really need power-ups until the very end of the world, and even really 4-3, and you need to start thinking about it. However, it's the World 4 boss you really need that power for, and there are a lot of enemies that can catch you off guard with their shot timings in 4-3 once you're fully powered up. So that's what we're really going to need to be scared of. Here in 4-2, I want to talk about how you can actually cancel your attacks. If you're at a higher power level, then usually, so the way the damage works in this game is each of the shurikens at power level 1 you throw out do 1 damage each. Each of the fireballs you throw at power level 2 does 2 damage each. You throw out 3, so that's 6 damage each. So 2 each times 3 is 6. And then at power level 3, you throw out 1 beam, which is also 6 damage. So, power level 2 actually kind of has a shotgun feel to it. So if you're close to the target, then power levels 2 and 3 are kind of equivalent. Otherwise, power level 3 is better if you're at range. But the thing is that the cooldown for power levels 2 and 3 between attacks is very long. But what you can do is, here's the other skip here. So just like that, that one's a lot simpler, but is another cool move. With the attack cooldowns, if you're just spamming B, then it can be a bit slow. However, if you shoot your weapon in midair and then land immediately after, it actually resets your attack cooldown so that you can kind of jump, shoot, land, and shoot again very quickly. So that's if you ever need to spam attacks, and the kind of the tile level set allows for it, then that's a really good way to do a lot of damage quickly. So here's an enemy with just the yellow key, and then coming up shortly, we're going to have our very first power-up of World 4. And like I mentioned, so it's actually, I think, at the base of this room, and it's going to be, it is, and it's going to be very important that JD takes no hits for the remainder of the stage so that he can keep that power level 3, which he's about to get shortly, heading into the boss. Because this boss is just quite a bit slower. It's not totally awful, but it is quite a bit slower if you go in with power level 2 or 1. So this particular room is a very, very long one. And the main interesting thing I think about this, this guy's so scary to me, but nice. So now he's at power level 3. Again, he still cannot just not take a hit. The top part of this room is going to have ninjas spawning. And JD needs to navigate it pretty quickly. I think he has a bit of a buffer with invincibility, which he can use whenever he pleases. But he also needs to, he actually doesn't have that much invincibility. I'm freaking out over here. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out! That was too bad.
That guy got me.
Yeah. There are just so many ninjas up there that that can just catch you off guard. Their kind of charge attacks are pretty hard to read. Now, going into the World 4 boss, it doesn't really matter if you have power level 1 versus 2, I think, because now you're going to be using sword attacks. As I mentioned, sword attacks, or as I mentioned, level 2 and 3 do 6 damage each. If you're close enough, if you're close enough for everything to hit. If you're on the ground and use a sword attack, then you kind of combo 2 sword attacks in a row for 3 damage each, which comes out to 6. But that's slow. And then a jumping sword attack also does 6 damage. But it usually kind of, especially on bosses, the jumping sword attack usually resets the boss pattern to some extent. So in this case in particular, the jumping sword attack kind of makes the boss move differently. So let's see just how JD kind of deals with this. Taking that hit isn't a big damage. He also has invincibility, which you can use, but just as he hits the boss each time, it kind of runs away and JD needs to follow it. But also, on every hit, the boss gives him more invincibility, which he can still use in this fight if he needs to. I didn't even know that you can actually attack that. That's cool, that you can actually attack that boss from the top with your sword. Nice. So it was a difficult fight, but he did the best with that power level 1 and 2. And he reused that invincibility very well to just kind of get through it smoothly.
Yeah, it got pretty messy.
Yeah.
Shout outs to LK from Japan for coming up with that strat.
Nice. So this stage is one gigantic room. And because everything is cycle-based, especially those, especially the lasers, yeah, it's worth a retry. The lasers are all cycle-based, and those robots, the yellow robots there, are also fairly cycle-based, or timing-based. And it all begins from the start of this stage. So not only is JD resetting in order to in order to kind of reset his health, because everything does tons of damage in this stage, he's also resetting to make sure the cycles are at a point where he expects them to be. And right now, this stage 5-1 attempt is going pretty smoothly, I think. Especially this kind of, there's going to be a sequence of very rapid start and stop lasers coming up here. Here especially, you want to navigate through those very quickly. So he is at about half health right now. Everything does a ton of damage. Lasers do tons of damage. Fortunately, he's built up, via his attacks, he's built up enough invulnerability that it's free from here on out, this stage. Well done. 5-2 is significantly easier than 5-1. You build up a bit of invincibility at the beginning, and then you can continue. There's actually an 8-frame period of leeway where you can land on that robot. Oh, just barely missed it. It's very hard to do. And then it's just kind of, this is a much easier stage than 5-1. You have a bit of invulnerability in order to kind of navigate through this final stretch. Not too much invulnerability, I'm a bit scared. Oh, no, okay, solid. And then this is just kind of a very brief sort of pseudo-auto-scroller where just from the start of this piece, you're just waiting for this left white ninja to appear, and then you're just leaving the room.
Yeah, that was pretty risky. I wasn't sure that was going to work.
Yeah, that final fall has a bunch of lasers that are at the end there. They're very hard to predict, and he was fairly low health, so a hit would have reset the stage, but he was able to nail it. There's one boss left, and then a final escape sequence. This boss, there is a bit of luck to him as far as he's going to split up into 3 pieces in a moment, and we don't know which one is the real one. But otherwise, you're trying to, so we don't know which one is the real one here. That one's fake, so we got the worst luck possible, unfortunately. And then really in planning out this boss, he's invulnerable, obviously, during these fire dragons. So you want to minimize that kind of fire dragon phase. But otherwise, as long as, okay, so he got kind of a 3-cycle there, which isn't too bad. And then, so coming up is the final stretch, the final escape sequence. It's pretty difficult because he's fortunately full health, but there are a bunch of lasers, and it's a vertical section. So I just kind of want to watch this in total silence and hope for the best. We're hoping for maybe like a 55 or above. He's almost up there. Oh, that's a hard hit. He's gonna have to, he might have to, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Oh! All right, he's up at the computer. He's up at the computer. It's about to be time, and that's time. Well done, well done.
Ooh, 24 minutes flat.
Nice.
Yeah, again, Ninja Five-0. You probably have never heard of it, but it makes for a very good speed game. It's a very challenging video game on the Game Boy Advance. And thank you all for having me and letting me show it off. And thank you, Blechy, for your wonderful commentary.
Nice run, man.
Thank you.
All right, awesome run there by Just Defend. Ninja Five-0 on the Game Boy Advance, everybody. And we still have a couple of donations that are praising that very run. $10 from Professor Shinobi says, from one ninja to another, let's take out cancer. Preferably with a grappling hook, shuriken, and an energy beam for good measure. Also, we have more than a couple donations, still keeping that $5 choo-choo donation train going. Super Sly donates $5 saying, here's to the $5 train in the UK. And here's to Dance Pad in the first row, keeping Twitch chat entertained. We love you, dude. CT Nightmare donates $5 saying, donating to be part of the $5 train. If read, I'll triple my previous donation again. Donation goes to announcer's choice. $10 comes in from Neo Drake saying, hey GDQ, I heard something about the $5 train. Take my $10 from me and my girlfriend. Thanks for that awesome event and let's kick cancer's butt. $5 train hype. Five times five equals $25 from Sam Richie T. Saying, love GDQ, I keep the stream up 24/7. Keep up the good work and love what this supports. Hashtag beat cancer. $30 comes in from Mr. Popo saying, gotta donate to see that Cuphead run. And again, if you guys want to see Cuphead later tonight, we are still just a bit under halfway to that $75,000 incentive. $25 comes in from Keith and Maggie saying, I took this week off to watch GDQ with my honey. You guys are the best. We have a $250 donation coming in from Nicole. Says, hi, longtime watcher, first time donator. I'm glad to finally be in a financial state to donate as I lost my grandmother to lung cancer when I was young. Here's to preventing others from experiencing the same thing. Thank you very much, man. We have $10 coming in from Matthias saying, greetings from Germany. Thank you to all the awesome people making this event possible. I want to give a shout out to my great friend Martin, who is always there for me. If I can get a hype from the audience, I will donate another $20. Donation goes to Sound Guy's Choice. Can we get a hype? We have a $50 donation coming in from No One Looking, saying, I have lost a lot to cancer, but just like any boss fight, it can be beaten. Put this towards the Cuphead run, and shoutouts to Zidane for finally making it into AGDQ. Chocobo Que. We have $5 coming in from Trash T saying, seems like the donation train made a stop in Germany. Greetings and choo-choo! We have another $5 donation from Mr. John Z saying, the $5 train has arrived in Finland.